So Chris, can you start sharing your screen?
It certainly can.
Okay, take it away, Jerry.
All right, thank you. Chris, could you pop up the next slide? Thank you. Excellent. Good evening, folks. My name is Jerry Calvert. I'm presently the chair of the Green Meadow Elementary School Building Committee. And I'd like to run down this list because I do not know that all attendees know who your representatives from the town are. Starting off with Greg Johnson, who's a town administrator. Greg is not on the call tonight. There was a select board meeting. Brian Haas, superintendent of schools. Rob Savoy, director of building facilities. Rob Rouleau, principal of the Green Meadow School. Jennifer, excuse me, Jennifer Gaudette is a community representative. Katie Moore, representing the finance committee. Anthony Meadow, a community representative. Nick Kane is the co-chair and a community representative. Justine St. John, also a select board member. She will not be attending this evening's forum. Mary Blandley, school committee member. Justin DeMarco, DPW director. Chris De Silva, select board member, will not be attending this evening. Charles Gabron, special projects coordinator in the school district. Wayne White, business manager for the Maine Public Schools. He will not be attending this evening due to a conflict. Mark Anderson, community representative. Matthew Johan, community representative. And Ken Newhouser, representing the Sustainability Committee of Maine. And that's it. And welcome tonight. Enjoy.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Jerry.
Welcome.
So on this slide, I'll get into the project framework and then the project timeline associated with that project framework. My name's Phil Palumbo. I'm a director with Colliers Project Leaders. We are the towns and the owners, the school district's owners project manager on the project. Throughout the course of the forum, you're going to hear us say the acronym MSBA. That stands for the Massachusetts School Building Authority. The MSBA is a state agency that provides financial grant assistance to school districts throughout the state looking to make capital improvements on their school buildings. The Green Meadow Elementary School is has a feasibility study agreement right now with the MSBA as part of their core program grant program. And part of that process is going through a robust feasibility study phase where you study 3 specific types of project scopes, if you will. One being a base repair or code upgrade, the second being addition renovation scope, and then the third being a ground up or new construction scheme. So throughout the feasibility study phase and the kind of the current portion of it that we're in now, which is called the preferred schematic report portion of it, is where we're studying multiple design schemes associated with those 3 scopes. So that's the kind of the big bulk of tonight's forum. So as part of the feasibility study agreement we have with MSBA, we have ultimately from invite into the feasibility study agreement to where we execute a project scope and budget agreement with them. We have 30 months to finish that feasibility study process, if you will. So although 30 months sounds like a lot, it moves quickly. So looking ahead, we have our preferred schematic report submission scheduled to be submitted to MSBA the end of June. So the end of next month, and that's going to be the submission where we indicate to the MSBA all the different design alternatives we studied and ultimately which one the building committee has chose to go with. And then from that point, in late August, their board of directors will meet and bless us and give us approval on that preferred schematic report submission. And from there, we'll move into their schematic design phase. That's a phase where that preferred scheme gets further advanced. And at the end of that phase, we'll have a cost estimate round occur where we'll find out what the cost estimators are viewing the cost of that construction project and the design. And then right around late April is when we'll coordinate with MSBA on a project scope and budget agreement. And ultimately, that's saying if this project's approved at the local level by the town of Maynard, the project scope will be this, the overall project budget will be this. And based off of that project budget and what MSBA views as eligible costs and ineligible costs, that would be kind of what the local share would be. versus what MSBA's share would be. And then the project schedule would be this. So from the end of that schematic design phase is when they call it their module 5, the funding the project phase. That'll be the part where we Meadow would have a town meeting. And right now we're slating that for a special town meeting in June of next year in the event we can't hit the spring town meeting. But it'll be at that town meeting, kind of debt exclusion vote, where we find out if this project is going to become a real project. From that point, if we're lucky enough to get the project approved, generally speaking, from that time frame, it's approximately another year or so of design. Then you move into bidding, looking at a couple of years of construction. So trying to get kids and staff moved into the new facility, the school year of 2026, 2027. And then kind of final MSBA paperwork closeout process ending in 2027. So big picture, that's the project outline, encompassing the 30-month feasibility study phase, as well as if we're approved to move forward, what a kind of big picture looks like for the rest of the project. So with that, I'll hand it over to Mount Vernon Group. They are the architectural firm on the project, and they'll get into the design alternatives.
Good evening. My name is Chris LeBlanc, project manager with Mount Vernon Group Architects. We're honored to be part of this feasibility study to help the town of Maynard study the Green Meadow Elementary School project and hopefully shepherd the town and the district in kind of reviewing and selecting and moving forward with an alternative solution. Tonight, I'd like to share with you some of the alternatives we've been studying and some of the features of those alternatives and how they may or may not address the current needs of the district. So we have 7 alternatives. The first one being a code upgrade and repair. 2 and 3 are addition renovations. And then 4 through 7 will be new construction alternative solutions. So alternative 1 is code upgrades and repairs. This particular alternative will simply bring the existing Green Meadow Elementary School project up to code to meet ADA accessibility. It will address some minor repairs to help with some energy solutions possibly, and things of that nature. What it does not address is the overcrowding issues that currently exist in the Green Meadow School. It does not address or meet the current education plan requirements. And some of the other things the whole existing building doesn't address is some of the energy efficiency and sustainability issues that are ongoing with energy consumption within the building. And it doesn't address the visioning goals or the statement of interest goals that the building committee has put forward to MSBA. Alternative number 2 is our first addition renovation project. This project will include a 2-story academic wing addition. It will also keep the existing gym, cafeteria, and the art music suites. It will eliminate the pre-K K wing and the curved grades 1 through 3 wings that were the part of the latest addition. Unfortunately, I should say, the pros would be it does address overcrowding, and it will address the educational plan requirements for the district. It'll also incorporate visioning goals. This particular addition will minimize the use of the existing building that would be renovated to help meet those goals. Some of the things with this particular addition and renovation is it would include a multi-phase construction, which would require portable classrooms to house students while the additions and renovations were taking place. It would also include some interior ramps, but it will improve site circulation and parking, separate parent and drop-off areas, and secure play areas, and even include some Crow Park integration. Alternative number 3 is also an addition renovation, but with this scheme, we'll keep a little bit more of the existing buildings, such as the pre-K and K wing, which would be renovated to meet the new needs of the educational program. Alternative 3 also addresses overcrowding, and it does address and provide for the educational plan requirements that the district put forward. It will also incorporate the visioning goals set forth by the visioning workshops that were held earlier this year. It does improve site circulation, although it does include a multi-phase construction process. And again, with the addition renovation, portable classrooms be required to house students during the various phases of construction. It will provide the appropriate play areas, parking, and athletic fields as part of this particular alternative solution. Alternative number 4 is one of the new constructions options. This particular plan is full ground up new construction. It does address overcrowding. It certainly provides for the educational plan requirements and meets all those requirements. And it incorporates all the visioning goals set forth by the visioning workshops. This particular new construction would have very minimal site disruption. And the nice thing about this is it does provide for community space at one end of the building, therefore being able to lock off and secure the classroom wings during weekend and night activities. With the new site, we would have improved site circulation and parking, parent drop-off and bus locations, which would be separate, providing a secure area for both functions. Secure play areas and replicated fields would also be included, with some Crow Park integration, making this a full integrated site. Alternative number 5 is also new construction. As with all new constructions, they address the overcrowding and the educational plan requirements set forth by the district. And they also incorporate the visioning goals set forth by the visioning workshops. The community space will be located at one end of the building, thereby allowing, again, the classroom wings to be locked off and secured during various weekend and evening functions by the community. With alternative number 5, again, site circulation and parking is addressed and provided. The separate parent drop-off and bus drop-off is certainly going to provide secure areas for both activities. Crow Park integration, secure play areas, and replicated fields are also part of the site design. And with any of these sites, we can pick and choose or select some of these different features and parking layouts that can be incorporated with any one of the site features and layouts. Alternative number 6 is, again, a new construction option, ground up. It addresses overcrowding. It addresses the educational plan requirements. The nice feature about this is a very compact plan. It provides the community core spaces in the middle of the building, which are easily accessible by both classroom wings, which are flanked on either side. And again, those areas can be secured during evening and weekend hours when the community has full access to the community spaces such as the gym, cafeteria, and some of the other spaces such as media centers. This particular plan is very efficient and has an ease of adding on in the future on both classroom wings. It's a 2-story construction project, just as is with most of the new construction. The new alternative site construction also includes site circulation and parking, parent and bus drop-off separated to provide secure areas for both and get traffic off the main street. Play areas and play fields are also going to be replicated with the appropriate structures for age-appropriate students. This plan also integrates Crow Park into the overall site design so that the entire site can be used by both community and school-wide uses. Our last alternative, number 7, is again a 2-story new construction project. It does have a center core similar to alternative number 6, and it is flanked by 2 classroom wings. This is a 2-story construction option. It does address both the educational and the visioning goals set forth by the district and the workshops. Again, similar to alternative number 7, it's a full and very compact plan. It provides easy wayfinding so that students in either of the classroom wings can easily access the community areas, the cafeteria, the gym during school hours, and the art, STEAM, and technology areas on the 2nd floor, which are both community use and district-wide use. It provides appropriate site circulation with appropriate play areas for kindergarten and grades 1 through 3. It does replicate some of the play areas and play fields that currently exist on the existing school grounds. This particular option provides an exit right onto Tiger Drive, which again can be incorporated into any one of the site layouts. These plans do not affect, the new construction plans, I should say, do not affect the education delivery and will not disrupt the current educational delivery during the existing school program. What they will allow is that the new schools to be constructed behind the existing school. And then as students move into the new construction building, the existing building can be removed with the second phase of parking, play areas, construction at the end of the phase. Site disruption for any of the new construction features, as well as the ad renos, would be minimum. We would make sure to work with the district to provide very secure and separate contractor and student entrances, staff entrances. Security and minimal disruption is key with any of these design options. So with that, I think we can open up to questions from the community, some input, unless Brian and or Rob, you have anything to add.
I would, sure. Brian Haas, superintendent here. You guys did a great job. Just if this is people's first time hearing from the building committee, I just want to reiterate some of the things we talked about at the first meeting, being that this is a really cooperative, supportive team. Both Colliers and MVG and the community members in the school, et cetera, have worked really well and hard together to get to this point. And in thinking about the alternatives, 3 of the alternatives kind of gotten a lot of attention, if you will, most recently. So I think it's fair to just share that as we're starting to get into questions. And one of the things that comes up, if you've been following along, alternative 4 is a model school. So that's just, it's a term. Phil can probably give more detail to what that means. But when I look at it, so when I'm looking at it from the school side and what are some of the advantages, disadvantages, the model program has some limitations. It looks like, and again, I'm sure Phil can add to this, but it looks challenging to add on to. So we hope that as we end up with, hopefully, 3 relatively, in terms of school building ages, new buildings for the Maynard Public Schools, that we may get some more kids to come to school, but we will for sure be able to maintain kids. And thus our numbers will increase. And 6 and alternative 6 and 7, nicely, that is not my dog. My dog just wanted that on record. What I like and what our administrative team really likes about alternative 6 and 7 is that I think 7 is feels a little more spread out than 6, but the big thing is that center hub of the building. So having been in new buildings, that to me feels like a school and a community building more so than some of the other alternatives. It's just personal preference. You make a statement with a school building on the entrance, and this 6 and 7 have community members coming into that. If you want to use the gym and the cafeteria, you're going to come in the main entrance and you're part of that center hub. Some of the other alternatives have equal use, meaning community could use the gym or the cafeteria, but they'd be coming at it from the side or the back. So not quite the same feel. So I just thought from an educational point, like there's the diagram. I really like the idea of coming into that main building. The admin's off there. There's some other rooms off to the right, but you're really looking right into the core of that building, the caf and the gym and the stage. And it really supports the concept of a school and community use building. So I just wanted to add a little flavor to the conversations that have been going on over the last couple of months at lots of building committee meetings. Thank you.
So there's actually some questions and comments in the chat that went direct to me, so I'll start reading through them. So this is from Ken Estabrook. His comment is, I'd like to see options that integrate the Fowler School and Green Meadow Elementary School more closely, i.e. without a road separating and with walkways connecting the two campuses so that the two elementary buildings can share resources more effectively. Chris, you want to get into some of the site layouts that have that connection? Show them.
Sure. Thank you, Phil. So those are some of the things, as I mentioned, the features in some of the various site layouts can be integrated from one to another. And as mentioned in the question, we're going to be working with the district. This is something that has come up, and we'll be working to make sure that we do get some walkways and some integration between both schools, because we understand that there are students from the elementary school that will also participate in after-school programs from Fowler. And with the appropriate solution for a new Green Meadow, I'm sure the Fowler students may want to use some of the features that may be in the new building or the renovated building for Green Meadow. So we will be looking at that. We will make sure there's some integration with drives and walks, learning opportunities, maybe outdoor learning opportunities. There is some wetlands that separate the school, but there are opportunities for learning science, et cetera, outdoors. So we're
Chris, I'd like
exploring that as well.
Chris, I'd like to just mention
Absolutely.
that, as Chris mentioned, there are wetlands, and as you can see on the site plan that's shown here, there's sort of a curved walkway connecting the two schools. We imagine that sort of kept area is the perfect place for a shared outdoor classroom. It's really sort of a wonderful link, bringing the two schools together, and an opportunity to explore nature and also learn in the outdoors. So we see it as a really great asset to both schools and sort of a great link, bringing all the children together.
Okay, we got a few questions from Natalie Robert. One's about traffic flow. Most of the designs seem to maintain one driveway in/out, as opposed to alternative 7, which utilize Tiger Drive. Can you talk more about that? I worry about traffic patterns and parent drop-off versus buses. Want to start there?
Sure, Dennis, you want to take that as you've developed the site?
Sure. The whole idea is to keep the parent drop-off on the outside of the site, all the way around and dropping off in the back. That completely separates it from the bus loop, which will be in the front of the building. And we're also looking at where we can put parking as close as possible to the front of the building. One of the things we want to do is minimize any walking across roads. So we've extended the fields directly outside of the classroom without the classroom areas, the school itself, without having any roads in the way. It's imagined that the parent drop-off road would just be used just for that in the morning and in the evening, drop off and pick up. And of course, some scheduled deliveries would also be using that road, but it would be if during the day it's being used for pickups and for deliveries, it would not interfere with the children's play at all in the play area. And during the morning and the afternoon, the children would be getting dropped off by their parents, and children that were walking would be in a very controlled situation, that they would just be crossing one road, and it would probably be up close to the building. It's also one of the things we would like to integrate into the entire plan is, instead of having on that particular road, which is really just an access drive, having, instead of speed bumps, what are called speed tables, which would actually be at sidewalk height. You would go up to it gradually and back down over it. So it really slows people down. It makes everything handicapped accessible. And it would be a real, a real asset to make all portions of the site accessible to the handicapped. It's also important to point out that the road going around the building is important for first responder access. Both police and fire departments should be able to get around all 4 sides of the school.
Thanks, Dennis. Her second question, a couple of the designs have play areas that are immediately adjacent to the school, and others have play areas further away, some in the middle of the green mode spaces. Two things, in terms of recess times and time/distance from the building, do teachers have preferences about the locations of play spaces? Brian or Rob, I don't know if you guys want to speak to that.
Phil, I don't think really that the teachers have a preference in order to where the locale is. We will build into our schedule the opportunity in order to make sure that the kids have ample time in order to move to and fro from the areas. I think the more important thing is just to make sure they're safe areas, which is always in this within this design. We currently have a very open field concept, and I'm looking forward to the idea of this being a more safely program for the students. It may look like on the map, but it's really not that far away for the students in order to travel between recess, phys ed, or after lunch, or just to go out and play. So either one, 6 or 7, would work very well for us.
Thanks, Rob. So Natalie's third question is, the new high school is currently dealing with some issues surrounding its front field. It wasn't meant to be a formal playing field, just a mowed open green space. Now it's being used for sports and is having maintenance/irrigation/regulation size concerns. What kind of surface will the large play fields be?
So those are scheduled to be typically grass at this point. We have met initially with the town's field committee, some of the youth sports programs, and we'll continue to work that out with the needs of the town, the district. So that's currently in the plan.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that. So Chris and I were at that meeting with the town athletic folks, and we talked about how a lot of the new construction schemes were going to be constructed ultimately where there is currently a play area where there's Maynard Athletics that have practices there and whatnot. But the folks were very quick to mention that that's not a field where they have games. It's not a field that has the appropriate dimensions and so on. So they understand that the new site design wouldn't provide with a true game field, but they threw out the hope that it could potentially, the new site design could provide another field that could be used for a practice. So our goal is to do the best we can to accommodate at least a open green space that could be provided to Maynard Athletics for practices. Okay, one other question from Natalie. One of the plans, number 6, had a parking lot that seemed to be joined within the driving circle to get around the building. Is this the case? I like Plan 6 a lot, but it seems sort of odd in comparison to the other plans, which have separate lots. You don't need to be sorry about the questions, Natalie. We appreciate them. Go ahead, Chris.
So Natalie, some of the things we were trying to do is show a variety of different possibilities in the various site schemes. And the nice thing is any one of these features can be incorporated into any other site scheme. So what we're looking to do is, as we narrow these down and we come to our preferred option for a building layout, we're going to work with the district, Brian, Rob, and their staff, DPW, the safety committee, to make sure we provide the optimum layout on the site to accommodate all the needs. Play areas adjacent to the school as needed, the open field area for PE and town-related activities, secure parking and drives for both bus and drop-off. So all that will continue to evolve as we move forward in meeting with the various departments and stakeholders that have some oversight and preferences, such as first responders and DPW that maintains the site.
Thanks, Chris. We got a question here from Kim Baldessaro. Do all these plans take into consideration the aftercare needs and safety measures they would need to utilize in order to maintain the same level of safety as the school day does?
Yes, they will. We have met with, the leadership team of the school, both the superintendent, principal, and some of the other, people within the district. And we've talked about the before and after school program spaces. We've talked about securing the building, and we'll continue to evolve that portion of discussion throughout the design process to make sure that, all the needs are met for the school and the town.
So that's all the questions I have in my chat. Colleen, I remember at the last forum, you potentially had some questions in your direct chat. I don't know if you have any.
I do not have any right now.
Okay. Oh, Mary, you got your hand raised? Hold on one second. Go ahead, Mary.
Okay, I'm all set. Thank you. It wasn't a question. It was a question from somebody from the other night that was talking about the library. So, in that hub. So could you talk to that a little bit, Chris?
Sure,
The
absolutely.
Innovation Hub.
The Innovation Hub. So again, it's just another possibility that we've done with other and explored with other school districts and wanted to share with the town of Maynard as well. So the Innovation Hub is essentially a media center that is flexible enough to include other programs and associate those programs, such as, art and STEAM and technology related, programs, if you will. But it does indeed act as a media center as well. There's reading areas, there's book stacks, there's technology areas, but it provides more flexibility, or the ability to have more flexibility with inter-program usage, if you will. When we meet,
I would like to add, I'd like to add, Chris, that we're currently working on a plan which provides for a corridor through that area. So we're taking advantage of the flexibility with moving some things around, and we've listened, very closely to people's concerns. We're moving some things around, and we'll be able to show that to you quite soon. So we've been moving in the combining the things people like about 6 and 7, and trying to make a real good compact building that does everything as best we can. Thanks.
All right, thanks, guys. So here's a question from Luke Yoquinto. Hi there. There have been a ton of studies coming out recently connecting ventilation to educational outcomes. The issue isn't just about filtration, but CO2 levels. Are any of these particular preferable in terms of HVAC?
So when it comes to indoor air quality environment, we're working with our engineers, and again, with the district, to make sure that we provide a very high quality air, given recent environmental things that have been happening in the past couple of years. So we'll work with the district to make sure, along with our engineers, that we provide systems that provide the most updated equipment that we can to address that, to provide quality air, ventilation, heating and cooling capabilities where needed.
Thanks, Chris. So Natalie has a question. Does Design 7 not have the ability to lock off the classroom section of the building for evening and weekend events, or could it have that compatibility?
Actually,
It does. Yep.
7 has very strong possibilities in that direction. Both wings being at either side of the main community area can be locked off at the narrow point, and that provides would provide access to even being able to use things that are community facing, such as the Innovation Hub, if need be. And with the addition of the the corridor upstairs, there'll be sort of a second level of locking off upstairs if we wanted to. So that's a very good question. And we've really worked hard on this particular, that particular aspect of the project to make sure that those wings are locked off.
Thanks, Dennis. So I don't have any more questions right
mention-
now in my chat, but if anybody has any questions, you can raise your hand or put something in a chat. Okay, we got one from Ken. Is this slide deck available online? So yes, Ken. So if you go to the project Facebook page, Chris, do you want to go to the slide where we have that URL link and QR code? So the project Facebook page, Green Meadow MSBA project, and that QR code will get you there too. We have the 7 design alternatives in a condensed PDF as a post on the project Facebook page. Also, the project website, the URL link below that has it as well. Natalie has a question. Will the appropriately large roofs have solar or be solar ready?
Yes, the whole idea is to make them solar ready, so different vendors can have access to all the resources they need on the roof and provide the school and the town with the best product possible. The structure will be adequate and designed for that.
So one other thing I'll add, so on the project Facebook page, as well as on the project website, there's a link to an online survey. And within that online survey, folks can provide feedback like you guys are all kind of commenting on and questioning tonight, as well as you can provide us with, we have a 1 to 5 scoring system, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. Provide us with your scores to each of the 7 design alternatives, because again, we want to understand the community feedback so the building committee can make the best decision for the project.
Just one quick thing, and I should have this answer myself, but I'll ask you, do we have another forum planned? I don't think we have one planned yet, a date, but do we see
No.
a need?
No,
Go ahead.
well, I was just going to say, so in terms of prior to the building committee's vote and ultimate decision to go whatever scheme, we don't have this is the community forum before that. And then again, like I mentioned, besides this forum, the idea with that online survey is for any of those folks that couldn't attend the April 27th one or this one, that survey is their opportunity to get that feedback to us. And then once we have that vote this upcoming Monday on the 23rd from the building committee, that's when the design team will start finalizing that preferred schematic report and get that submitted to MSBA. And then we can, as a building committee, reconvene and try to determine the best next time to get out to the community to present to them the preferred schematic and all that.
Excellent. So I guess to summarize that piece of it, this is the week that it's most valuable for community members to get that survey, get your input. Because
Yeah.
we take a vote next Monday.
Yeah, and a person had asked, put a post on the Facebook page asking, till when is that survey live? And it's live until this upcoming Sunday night. Ken Newhouser has a comment here. Is there interest from the town or MSBA to limit embodied carbon? Chris or Dennis?
So, Ken, we can certainly, we're going to continue to explore that, the total carbon footprint as we go through and discuss sustainability, and what what those capabilities are and options are for this building. So we'll continue to go through that, and we'll meet with the town stakeholders to determine, to what extent are we looking to reduce it to meet the sustainability needs of the project.
Yeah, and the one thing I'll add to that, so part of the MSBA grant program is what they call incentive points. So different design criteria, if you will, if your project has that criteria linked to it, if you design for it, you can get additional incentive points. One of those categories is designing a green building, if you will, and to kind of prove that you did that, you either go through a LEED certification process or Northeast CHIPS. But ultimately, this project will go through one of the two, and we could get up to 2 additional reimbursement points when we do that. So I would say yes, MSBA wants these projects to design as green as possible. And then Ken added to follow on, we do not have targets from town or MSBA to meet at this time, correct? Yeah, Ken. So, I mean, at this point, the answer is no. I mean, I would say with MSBA, we know their charter, right? And so in terms of this topic of designing green, their charter or their push to get projects teams to do that is kind of providing those additional incentive points that go through a LEED program or the Northeast CHIPS program. So that'll be that kind of target we'll do to accommodate the MSBA process and get those additional reimbursement points. And then at this point, we don't have direction or charter directly from the select board, if you will, on target points. But we can also, the idea is as we kind of move past this preferred schematic submission and get more of a deeper dive into the design, that's when the building committee will create a sustainability subcommittee. So ultimately, maybe it's the same sustainability subcommittee that puts together goals and presents those to the building committee in town, select board, and so on. And maybe that's the kind of the charter of the project. We got another question. We got a question from Kim Baldessaro. Considering this is 5 or more years from construction completion, is the changing climate and green building options being explored? Do we anticipate the cost of green/carbon neutral construction costs to increase /decrease /remain the same? I'll get onto the cost topic then, Chris, if you want to get into the other one, and I'll repeat it for you. So costs are currently going up at a pace we've never seen before in terms of construction. And I don't, if you talk to all these different cost estimators that, estimate these types of projects for a living, and as well as if you talk to the contractors bidding on these projects, they'll tell you they're not anticipating the cost escalation to go down in the next couple of years, unfortunately. So at this point, the costs are climbing, and when we go through our cost estimate process, we'll have the escalation factor in there. We'll have the design contingency in there to accommodate that escalation. But it's safe to assume, as it relates to us forecasting to our bid time, if you will, in the midpoint of construction, we'll have to assume cost escalation for sure. And then the first question, Chris or Dennis, considering this is 5 more years from construction completion, is the changing climate and green building options being explored?
It is being explored, and we'll continue to work with, Eversource and some of the other, our engineers. We have sustainability people in-house that will continue to work with to make sure we're providing the optimum sustainability options and features for the school, with the understanding that things continue to change, and plan for those accordingly as best we can at this point. Everything continues to evolve, and so we'll continue to work with our engineers and the appropriate consultants to make sure that we've incorporated what we can to anticipate that evolution as best as possible, so that once the building is completed, we've reached what we can reach at that point.
Okay, I'm sorry, Natalie, you got another question here. Can I submit a second survey if I have new thoughts? Yes, absolutely. Yep. By all means. Colleen, do you have any comments or questions in your chat?
No, I don't, Phil.
Realized how loud silence was.
Jerry, what do you think? You think we got all the feedback? Seems like nobody's got any more to say. Okay, hold on. Yeah, Nick, I did tell people they can raise their hands. So maybe, all right, so if you don't know how, so if you go down to the bottom of the screen, there's a raised hand icon. If you hit that, we'll see that you have a question. Okay, this is from Ken. Has the design team attended MSBA's Demystifying Net Zero events in the past? So I could speak for me. I attended the most recent one. I want to say it was around a month or so ago. And they're very good. So those are events for folks that don't know, where MSBA has different project teams that, were in the same MSBA core program process that we're currently in the early stages of, that chose to go net zero, kind of created that target or that charter to go net zero, and they have that project team to, at that point, has kind of, say started construction, or maybe they're closing out construction, and speak to all the ups and downs and challenges and strategies they took to achieve net zero. Chris, I don't know if you want to speak to Mount Vernon group attending those.
Yeah, we've had members of our team that have attended those as well at various stages. So, we'll be looking to consult with them as we move forward on this process.
Yeah, and I think MSBA actually has an upcoming green form, if you will, coming up actually pretty soon.
Hmm.
Yes, Arnell Catalan, who is our Director of Green Services in our firm, is on this project team, and he's an active participant in most of the MSBA's green initiatives and programs.
Seeing any hands up. And I don't know if you see anything in chat, but
I got nothing in the chat. I don't see any hands.
I think we, unless somebody has some closing statements, I think we could conclude this second Green Meadow Building Committee Forum. Was good, extremely informative, had some great questions. And I certainly like to thank all of the participants who actually put this together. And also some of the other building committee members who've worked diligently on this project, and all of the community members who attended tonight. Thank you very much. Phil or anybody, any other closing remarks?
I would just say, yeah, thanks a lot for attending tonight. We know everybody's busy, so we appreciate it. As well as please, like the Facebook page and follow it, because that's the page, as well as the project website, where we post a lot of updates on where we're at with the project, FAQs and so on and so on. So it'd be great if you all followed us on those sites.
I think that's it. I think we can close.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, folks. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Have a great night.
Good night.